23 years of marriage shattered in an instant when I saw his signature on a document that was never meant to end up in my hands. The name of my mother-in-law, Victoria, adorned the sign of a boutique my husband was secretly funding for his mistress while I held the hand of his dying mother in the hospital. I remember that morning when I froze, staring at the commercial lease agreement mistakenly delivered to our home mailbox instead of my husband's office. The address was unfamiliar to me. The business name Victoria's Boutique wasn't among my husband's commercial investments, but the signature. That signature I knew by heart. The coffee cup trembled in my hands as I read through the details. The name of the lessee hit me like a slap. Jessica Anderson. The woman my husband introduced as a marketing consultant at last year's company Christmas party. The one whose calls to our home seemed too frequent for business relations. The woman whose perfume sometimes lingered on his suits when he returned late. Michael has always been generous, I whispered to the empty kitchen. Just not with me. The initial shock quickly crystallized into something harder and colder. The lease was for a prestigious location in the city's shopping center, a spot other business owners would kill for. The terms were absurdly favorable. 3 years with a 5-year renewal option, rent at 40% below market rate, and $250,000 for improvements. A virtual gift. I sat there as sunlight slowly slid over our marble countertops, the very ones I had spent weeks choosing during our renovation 5 years ago. I had poured my soul into creating this life, this family, this legacy. Meanwhile, Michael was building something entirely different. In the evening, when he returned home, I played the same role I had honed over 2 decades. Dinner was ready. I asked about his day, smiled at the right moments. But inside, I was calculating, measuring, evaluating everything I had given and everything I had lost. "You seem distracted," Michael noted, loosening his tie. "Is everything all right?" "Just thinking about new beginnings," I replied, pouring him a glass of wine. "New beginnings?" He looked puzzled, almost concerned. "Yes," I said evenly. "People are constantly starting something new. A new business, new relationships, a new life." He nodded, clearly relieved that I wasn't probing into his day. "That's the beauty of life, isn't it? Constant renewal." I smiled. "By the way, I heard a new boutique is opening downtown next month. Victoria's something." The wine glass halted midway to his lips. Panic flashed across his face before he regained composure. "Oh, I hadn't heard about that." It was then I knew with absolute certainty. 23 years of marriage had taught me to read every micro-expression on his face. The slight tension around the eyes, the momentary hitch of breath, the calculated casualness that followed. "Maybe we should check it out," I continued, feeling my heart pound behind my calm facade. "I heard the owner got an incredibly good deal. Someone with deep pockets must really believe in her." Michael coughed, reaching for water. "Well, good for her. We need more entrepreneurs these days." I nodded, letting the subject drop, but something changed in that moment. The faithful, trusting wife who had walked into the kitchen that morning was no longer standing there. In her place was someone new, calculating, with nothing left to lose. The next morning, I booked an appointment with the city's most ruthless divorce attorney. Not to file for divorce, not yet, but to understand my options, to prepare. "Mrs. Montgomery," said the attorney, scanning our finances, "your husband has been quite creative in some of his recent investments." "Creative? How?" I asked, though I already knew the answer. "He's been channeling significant company resources through subsidiaries. One, in particular, received substantial capital recently. "Let me guess," I said. "For a boutique?" The attorney looked impressed. "You did your homework." "Not enough," I replied, but I learned quickly. That's when I discovered the grand opening of Victoria's boutique was scheduled for the following month. Invitations had been sent to the city's elite. A ribbon-cutting ceremony with the mayor, champagne, press coverage was planned. My husband had spared no expense for his mistress's debut as an independent businesswoman. "So, what would you like to do?" the attorney asked. I smiled for the first time in days. "I'd like to confirm my presence at this grand opening, but I think I'll arrive a bit early." The following weeks became a lesson in betrayal. Like archaeologists uncovering an ancient civilization, the attorney and I peeled back the layers of Michael's deception. Each discovery was a fresh blow to the heart. "Your husband created a shell company to purchase the property 2 years ago," my attorney explained, spreading documents across the table, "then leased it to Miss Anderson at a rate significantly below market. Just the improvements cost over $300,000. 2 years, I repeated, tasting the bitterness of the words. While I cared for his mother during chemotherapy, my mind drifted back to those months of hospital visits, sleeping in uncomfortable chairs, holding my mother-in-law's hand through her cancer battle. Michael had been noticeably absent, always busy with work. Now I understood what, or who, had occupied him so. "There's more," the attorney continued. "Inventory for the boutique was purchased through another subsidiary. Designer clothes, accessories, jewelry, almost $500,000. I laughed bitterly. Last Christmas, he said we needed to tighten our belts when I wanted to make a donation to a children's hospital. The most staggering discovery came when my attorney hired a private investigator. The detective returned with photographs. Michael and Jessica inspecting properties together, dining at restaurants he had never taken me, entering the boutique after hours. There were shots of them selecting equipment, picking out merchandise, plotting their future, her future, on my family's money. In one photo, they embraced in front of the store, champagne glasses raised, toasting to Victoria's boutique. The name suddenly had a horrifying significance. Victoria was Michael's mother's name. The very mother I cared for in her final days while he built a monument to her memory with his mistress. He named it after his mother, I whispered, feeling the wave of betrayal wash over me. "Mrs. Montgomery." My attorney looked concerned. "I'm fine," I lied. "Please, continue." The financial trail was comprehensive. Michael siphoned nearly $2 million from our joint assets and his business to fund this boutique. Money meant for our retirement, our children's futures, our shared life. At home, I played my role flawlessly, maintained our social calendar, hosted his business partners for dinner, smiled at the appropriate moments. Michael noticed nothing, or perhaps chose not to notice. "You seem happier lately," he remarked one evening as we prepared for bed. "Really?" I kept my tone light. "Yes, there's a glow about you." He kissed my cheek, a formal gesture we had exchanged thousands of times. "Perhaps I've finally gained some clarity." "About what?" I looked him straight in the eyes. "About what I deserve." He smiled, completely misunderstanding me. "You deserve the world, darling." "Yes," I agreed. "I do." Invitations for the grand opening arrived the following week. Not to our home, of course, but to Michael's office. I wouldn't have known if not for our neighbor, a city council member, receiving an invite. "Will you be at Victoria's opening?" she asked innocently over the fence. Michael must be so proud to invest in women's entrepreneurship. I somehow maintained my composure. Oh yes, he's always had an eye for promising ventures. That night, Michael announced he would be out of town on opening weekend for business. Important client meetings in Chicago, he explained, avoiding my gaze. No way around it. What a shame, I replied. You'll miss the opening of Victoria's boutique. Everyone's talking about it. His head jerked up. You know about it? I shrugged. Small town. People talk. It's just a minor investment, he stated cautiously. One of many. Of course, I nodded. Though from what I've heard, quite impressive. The owner must be very persuasive. He cleared his throat. It's strictly business, Beth. Isn't it always? I smiled, watching him squirm. That night, after Michael fell asleep, I slipped out of bed and went to my home office. I emailed my attorney. I'm ready to act. Let's discuss opening strategy. The reply came back within minutes, despite the late hour. My team is prepared. Are you sure you want to make this so public? I looked at my sleeping husband, this stranger with whom I'd shared a life for over 2 decades. The man who held my hand during 2 difficult births, danced with me on our 20th wedding anniversary, stood with me at his mother's funeral, all while building a secret life with another woman. I gave him everything, I whispered to myself, and he threw me away like nothing. I typed the response. The more public, the better. She's stolen enough from me in secret. The grand opening was set for Saturday at 11:00 a.m., with VIP previews starting at 10:00. Michael left for his Chicago meetings Friday morning with a travel bag and a distracted goodbye kiss. I watched him go, fully aware of where he was truly headed. Take care, I called after him. He had no idea how seriously I meant it. My attorney arrived at my house an hour later, accompanied by a forensic accountant, a private investigator, and a digital security expert. We occupied the dining room, spreading documents over the table where Michael and I had shared thousands of meals. We have it all, said my attorney. Financial records, real estate deals, shell companies, everything is here. The forensic accountant nodded. He wasn't as clever as he thought. There's a clear paper trail linking him to every cent spent on this boutique. And the digital evidence? I asked. The security expert opened her laptop. We've recovered deleted emails, text messages, and calendar entries from the last 3 years. He used the same password for everything. The date of your wedding, ironically. I laughed without humor. At least he used it for something. The private detective added, We have surveillance footage showing them together at the property at least 30 times in the last year, often after closing, sometimes overnight. I took a deep breath. And the legal implications? My attorney looked grim but satisfied. He used marital assets and company funds to finance his affair. It's not just morally reprehensible. It's legally punishable. We have enough for fraud charges if you choose to go that route. Not yet, I said. First the opening. On Saturday morning, I woke at 6:00, as I had every day for the past 23 years. Showered, styled my hair, applied makeup with special care. I wore an elegant black dress by Carolina Herrera, a gift from Michael last Christmas, when guilt must have weighed particularly heavy. My attorney met me at home at 9:30. Are you ready? More than ever, I replied, getting into his car. We parked a block from the boutique at 9:45. A small crowd was already gathering, the local elite, press, city officials. A red ribbon stretched across the entrance, champagne chilled, photographers setting up cameras. They arrived together, reported the private detective by phone. Black BMW, just parked in the staff lot. I glanced at the clock. 9:55. It's time. My attorney nodded to the team waiting nearby, a bailiff with a warrant, a police detective specializing in financial crimes, and a reporter from the local newspaper we had given the exclusive. I stepped out of the car and walked towards the boutique. The crowd parted before me. In a small town, everyone knew the wife of Michael Montgomery. Some smiled greetings, others watched curiously. I heard whispers. What's she doing here? Jessica stood at the boutique's entrance, radiant in a cream suit, her long blonde hair styled in waves. She was beautiful, young, fresh, full of enthusiasm. Everything I once was. Michael stood beside her in his best navy suit, the one I picked for him last year. When he saw me, his face went pale. "Beth?" His voice faltered. "What are you doing here?" "How could I miss the opening?" I smiled. "Especially considering how much of our money went into it." Jessica froze, her smile faltering. Michael stepped forward, attempting to position himself between us. "Beth, let's talk about this somewhere else," he whispered. "Oh no, darling. We'll talk here and now." I turned to the gathered crowd. "Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for delaying the grand opening, but I have an important announcement." My attorney stood beside me, holding a folder of documents. The bailiff and detective took positions at the boutique entrance. "Victoria's Boutique," I began loudly and clearly, "is named after Victoria Montgomery, my late mother-in-law, the woman I cared for during her cancer battle while my husband was busy with work." I paused. Now I know what he was truly busy with. The crowd fell silent. Cameras were trained on us. "This boutique," I continued, "was built with money stolen from our joint assets and my husband's company. Every brick, every garment, every storefront was paid for with money belonging to me and our children." Michael stepped forward. "Beth, stop. You don't understand." "Oh, I understand perfectly," I interrupted him. "I understand you spent $2 million on your mistress while telling me we had to economize. I understand you named this monument to your betrayal after your mother, and I understand you thought you could hide this." Jessica began retreating to the boutique door, but the bailiff blocked her path. "Mrs. Montgomery," he said, "I have a court order freezing all assets of this business and associated accounts." Michael turned even paler. "You can't do this." "Actually, I can," I replied. "And this is just the beginning." The financial crimes detective stepped forward. "Mr. Montgomery, we have a search warrant for the premises and to seize all financial documents." The crowd buzzed. I saw several city council members quietly slip away. Cameras clicked nonstop. "Beth!" Michael grabbed my arm. "Please, you're destroying everything." I shook off his hand. "No, darling. You destroyed everything. I'm just making it public." Jessica finally found her voice. "You can't do this. I've put my entire life into this." "No," I turned to her. "You've put my life, my money, my family." I looked at her expensive suit. "Even the clothes you're wearing were bought with my stolen money." My attorney opened the folder. "We have complete documentation of all illicit transactions, shell companies, and fraudulent schemes used to finance this venture. We are prepared to present this to the prosecutor's office." "You wouldn't," Michael whispered. "Think of the children." "I am thinking of the children," I replied. "That's precisely why I'm here. to show them that no one has the right to treat a person they supposedly love this way. The local newspaper reporter scribbled feverishly in a notebook. I knew this story would be front-page news tomorrow, but I no longer cared. For 23 years, I cared about what people thought. Now it was time to care about myself. "You have a choice," I said, addressing Michael and Jessica. "We can resolve this here and now. Both of you sign off all rights to this business, return the stolen funds, and I won't press criminal charges." "And if not?" Michael's voice was hoarse. "Then the next stop is the district attorney's office," my attorney replied, "with a full dossier of evidence of financial fraud, corporate embezzlement, and tax violations." Jessica started sobbing, smearing her immaculate makeup. "Michael, do something!" He stood there, caught between his wife and his mistress, between the past and the future he had tried to build on lies. I saw the moment he broke. "Where do I sign?" he asked quietly. My attorney produced the prepared documents. Within 5 minutes, it was over. Victoria's boutique officially transitioned into my ownership, along with the commitment to full restitution of stolen funds. I turned to the crowd. "I apologize for canceling today's opening. The boutique will be closed for reorganization." I paused. "When it reopens, it will be a charity shop for women starting anew after divorce. In memory of the real Victoria Montgomery, who always told me every woman deserves a second chance." The crowd began to disperse. Jessica ran to her car sobbing. Michael stood, head bowed, still clutching the pen with which he had signed the documents. "Beth," he finally said, "I'm sorry." "I know," I replied, "but not because you betrayed me. Because you got caught." He raised his eyes. "What will you tell the kids?" "The truth. They're adults now, Michael. They deserve to know what choice their father made." He nodded, as if expecting this response. Without further words, he turned and walked away. I watched him go, feeling an odd calm. My attorney placed a hand on my shoulder. "Are you all right?" "Yes," I replied. "For the first time in a long time, I really am." I looked at the boutique's building, the elegant facade, designer showcases, all that was supposed to become a monument to my husband's betrayal. Now it was going to be something else, something better. "Call the contractors," I said to my attorney. "I want to start renovations immediately, and find me a good designer, someone who understands that sometimes you have to tear down something beautiful to build something real." He nodded and began making notes in his phone. I took a deep breath and felt the weight of the last few months begin to lift from my shoulders. Ahead lay a long road: divorce, business reorganization, talks with the children. But for the first time in many years, I felt free. Free from lies, from pretense, from the need to uphold the facade of a perfect marriage. I picked up the phone and dialed our daughter, Sarah. She answered on the second ring. "Mom? What happened? Are you okay?" "Yes, sweetheart, but we need to talk. Can you come to my house tonight? And please call your brother. It's a family matter." There was a pause. "It's about Dad, isn't it?" "Yes," I replied gently. "It's time for the truth." "I'll be there in an hour," she said. "I'll call James." I ended the call and turned to the boutique one last time. Workers were already removing the Victoria's Boutique sign. Tomorrow, a new chapter would begin. My attorney waited by the car. "Where to now?" "Home," I replied. "I need to prepare for an important conversation." On the way home, I thought about Victoria, my mother-in-law. about how she held my hand in the hospital when I gave birth to Sarah, how she taught me to cook the Montgomery family recipes, how in her final days she took a promise from me to always stay strong. Life rarely goes according to plan, Beth, she told me then. But that doesn't mean it's going wrong. Now, seated in the car watching the city flash by outside the window, I finally understood what she meant. Sometimes you have to lose everything to find yourself. Ahead lay difficult conversations with the children, sleepless nights, court sessions, and small-town gossip. But I was ready, because now I had the truth, and with the truth comes freedom. Did you like the story? Write your opinion in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next interesting story. See you tomorrow.